Welcome, everyone. So for this session, how to pass 13 AWS certifications in 11 weeks. So my name is George. I'm a solutions architect with the territories team in the UK. And today, what I'm going to tell you is a little bit about my ramp-up story. So during my ramp-up, the first few months I was here, 6 months ago, I did the 13 available AWS certifications. The purpose of this introduction is to tell you that it is possible, and it is possible to do this in 11 weeks. However, there's a caveat here. So past experiences are important, and this sort of thing does require a great deal of commitment and sacrifice. So choices that you have to make. So the idea here is for any one of you to take your own pace, your own flow on how you want to do these things, but keep in mind that these things are possible. So what I want to tell you then is actually not how to pass AWS certifications, given that I cannot pass them for you. I cannot tell you how much you need to study. It will depend on each one of us and each one of you. But what I really meant to tell you is how not to fail while taking those certifications. This, of course, given that you have studied and you have practiced for them. Also, I would like to add how not to burn out during the study of the certification. And just for safety, I added just a few other notes here. Let me know if you cannot read this, and I really hope you cannot. Otherwise, I will have to make it smaller just in case. Sorry about that. Well, let's move on to the real stuff. Study prep. So how did I prepare for the study? And a lot of people asked me how I did that. And it actually does not, there's an icon there that shouldn't be there. So the steps that I took are not very different from the ones you already take when you're studying things. So going through Cloud Guru, Linux Academy, and then Wiz Labs to do the practice tests, and also read sample questions and take the online practice exam. Now, the really interesting thing here is how I broke down the exams. So what I did was I broke down into 4 waves. You can call it sprints as well. And this is kind of the same concept that we use when we're in school. So consider it school terms, or consider it the semesters in the university. And the idea of this process, which you realize is used all over the educational system, the idea is to move everything you've learned from your short memory to your long-term memory by switching the context, by reviewing and coming back to the same concepts over and over again. Your brain's kind of recollects things and starts moving things that it needs to this long-term memory that can use while you're doing the exams. Another thing that is important here is the type of exams that I selected while studying. So you will see that on the first wave, I have Cloud Practitioner and the associate levels. And I also added the Master Builder and the Speaker certification here. The idea is to switch the concept, the context constantly, and to build on top of the motivation of these tasks. So what you need for the Master Builder is actually knowledge that you get from the associate levels, and the knowledge from the associate levels while you study, you can apply them on the Master Builder. Same thing for the Speaker certification, that helps for the Master Builder, and so on. Also, you will realize that the complexity of the exams gets higher on the second, third, and fourth waves. And they also complement each other. When you will realize that I did the specialist certifications first, because I realized that the specialist certification, they go deep into certain areas that I then used for the solution architect and the DevOps engineer professional certifications. So always building up wave after wave. I only left the last two, machine learning, and so the last two were the machine learning and the Alexa skill builder, because those were kind of not matching with any of the other ones, so they were isolated. And in case of machine learning, it's like learning a new language, foreign language, something like that. Okay, I hope this was interesting enough. I'm just looking at the chat to see if there are any other questions. Any questions about this? Please let me know if you have any. Okay. Now, while we're doing this, while we're studying, this happens a lot. So we get a lot of pains, and you probably feel that just by staying at home and working from home now. So if you have a question, how not to burn out, and I think this is a really, really important question to have, my answer is pause. Just pause, take breaks between the videos, between the lessons that you're studying. And how I did it was after every video, even if it was a 1-minute video or 10-minute video, I would take a break, either to take a cup of coffee or just to look at the horizon, call someone. But another thing that is also very helpful is to do exercise. So these are just a few examples on how to exercise on your chair. And why is exercise important? Well, several reasons. It stretches your body, but also it keeps you focused on certain minutes, and then focused on doing the exercise, and then going back to focus on the study. So having these breaks, it keeps you motivated, always doing something. And also the exercise, by increasing your metabolism, it wakes you up. So it's a bit like drinking coffee, although you don't need to drink as much coffee as you would normally do, because your body is constantly with this energy and this so self-motivation, or muscle motivation, I would call it, ready to come back to what it was doing, and always energized. Okay, and how about the exam? Just let me go back to the questions. How long was each wave? Okay, so each wave took me about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks each wave. Although for those 11 weeks that I've identified in the beginning, I'm counting only from the first exam to the last exam. Of course, I also studied before that first exam, so the period of the waves is it's a bit longer than that. But it was roughly 2 or 3 weeks per wave. Okay. Now, regarding the exam, I've seen some people doing the exams like a sprint. So what does this mean? They rush through the easy questions, and they leave behind for the remaining time that they have for the exam, they leave behind the hard ones. So what happens is people get to halfway, 3/4 of the exam, and their brain is already tired, their body is bruised, and they have the hardest part of the exam ahead of them because they left all of the hard questions to the end. So my understanding of this approach is this. Well, exams are not a sprint. It's a marathon, like Mike clearly say. Now, lucky for me, I am a marathon runner, or at least I ran some marathons. And I have the proof here. So I did a few of them, and let me open the board here. Did anyone else did any marathon, or has any marathon planned? Just waiting for a few questions. Anyone? No, not really. Well, it's a good thing if you're planning for one. It's a really good thing. Matteo, I wish you do one. Let me know if you need help on practicing that. Okay. So I did my first 4 marathons in 8 weeks, and you probably see a match in terms of a pattern here. Well, it's actually not a coincidence. The truth is, I applied some of the techniques of the marathons into the exams. And how did I do this? Well, the first and most important concept is pace. And to be honest, if there is one concept that I would like you to take from this meeting, from this presentation, is this one, pace. So if you look at this picture, you will see in the center of the picture, you will see a volunteer. So that volunteer is a pacer, is a runner that it's there to keep a steady pace, and he will tell you on the flag, so in this case 3 hours 45 minutes, he will tell you the exact time in which he will finish the race. So if you follow him, you will finish at that exact time. So the idea here is for you to follow him, and he knows what pace he has to take because he has a bracelet with a few numbers on it saying for each, I don't know, 1 mile, 10 miles, whatever, he will have the time that he has to pass on that milestone. So the concept for the exam that I used is roughly the same. So I used a white paper, although that is not possible at the moment with the online exams. But you have notes on the exams, so digital notes that you can use, and you can still track this. So the idea is to have the questions, so the number of questions that I've already answered, and the time I should, or the milestone I should be hitting for each set of questions. That will make me comfortable regarding the pace. How am I doing in terms of pace? So as an example, I have on the second line, question 10. So by question 10, I should have still 160 minutes left to finish the exam. And then I'll just remove or just make a mark on whatever milestone I have passed. And by then, I will know if I'm ahead of time or not ahead of time or lagging behind. So the idea here is to draw this diagram or this matrix on the beginning of the exam. So before you press start, you have a few minutes that you can work with. I'm not sure if it's 5 or 10 minutes. You can write down these notes, and then you'll come back to those notes whenever you feel like you're lagging behind or you're ahead of time or just not comfortable. You also have, before accepting the NDA, you also have a bit of time to do that. What I do is I typically reserved 2 minutes per question. And if you look at the time that you have available on the exam, it will give you roughly 2.5 minutes up to 3 minutes per question. But I prefer to reserve only 2 minutes. And I move to the next question every 2 minutes. That allows me to have a buffer by the end of the exam where I can review, I can go back to questions that I wasn't sure about, and that buffer can be shorter or longer depending on the exam, and also depending if you have selected the extra 30 minutes for non-English native speakers. So probably we're at Amazon. There's a lot of people that doesn't speak English natively, so there's a huge opportunity for a lot of you there to use these extra 30 minutes. Okay, let me open the questions again to see if anyone has any additional question on this one. Okay, not really. How does one request time extension? That's an important question. So to request this extension, you have special requests. At least it was like that on the previous UI. I'm not really sure how it works right now, but how it used to work was on the special requests. You go there and you request those extra 30 minutes, and you only need to do it once, because this won't change. You will continue to be who you are regardless of how many exams you do. Now you have to do this, or at least you used to have to do this before having any exams scheduled. So before schedule any exam, request this extra time. And from some feedback that I have received on these new online exams, they will try to confirm. So face-to-face, it wasn't necessary because they would listen to your accent. But for these new online exams, they will give you a call to confirm your accent to see if you're a native English speaker or not. And if it's not available on UI, you will probably need to give a call to the call center. So you will find those instructions there when you try to go to the special requests. Okay, so this was the most important concept, pace. Now, there are other important concepts as well. So the next one I want to talk about is how to prepare. And you should prepare for a long run. If you look at the belt of this marathon runner, you will see that he has some liquid food there, and that belt can carry other things. So this is important for anyone who takes this kind of challenge. So do be prepared for something that might take 2-3 hours or even more, depending on those extra 30 minutes. So have a good night's sleep. Have a nice breakfast. What I used to do was I would take the breakfast right before the exam so that it would last longer. Also, get in time to the exam. So even if it's at home online, reserve half an hour before that to any technical issues so that you are completely relaxed. You still have time to get a coffee. Check with the person that validates your exam. So before starting the exam, check if you can have some food there, like a banana or a cereal bar, something like that. It will actually depend on the person that is monitoring the exam. Ask for water or coffee. Nick also mentioned sometimes they complain about the labels on the bottles or on the mugs. So be aware of that. Have any tissue as well if you need one. But the idea is be prepared for any eventuality so that you don't lose focus on the exam and you don't worry about anything else and you don't get anxious, or you get as less anxious as possible. Okay? Very well. Now, another very important topic is to have a reason why. And this one has to do with emotional intelligence, has to do with why are we spending the time doing this? How much are we sacrificing, and does it make sense? If you look at this picture, you will see that the girl on the left has a very smiley face compared to the other runner. And what she's doing is she's running for the kids. Can you see that team for the kids? Having this purpose is really, really important. And one of the things that marathon runners mention a lot is about 3/4 of the marathon, they hit the wall. It's about 30K. The marathon has 42Ks. So about 30Ks, they mentioned the wall. The wall is when our strength are not enough to take us through the rest of the race, and our minds start playing games with us, eventually saying, okay, this was too much, this was a mistake, and a lot of people give up. And the hard thing, or even if you don't give up, just give up running and you stop for a while, which is also complicated. When you stop, you lose the rhythm, and because of the way muscles work and our brain works, things, a lot of people just give up at that point. So it happened to me and let me tell you just a quick story about this. On the DevOps exam, I thought I had to give up because I was completely losing my pace. I was lagging behind. I was taking 3, even 4 minutes per question. They were really long questions with really long answers. And I figured I'm not going to make it. But then I thought, I took the chance to do the exams, and I'm gonna do these exams sooner or later. So if I'm gonna do this, if I'm not gonna give up doing this, I might as well do this one and learn from it. So I took the decision just to learn from the exam. And while doing that, I relaxed a little bit. I started reading the questions and answers in a different way. And after through 2 or 3 questions, I realized that there was really a way to look at the questions, compare the questions um, on a high site, moving my head back and just check the differences between the answers. And I realized that it was possible to quickly identify the differences between the answers. Quickly, I got my pace back and I was able to actually answer a lot of the questions, answer enough questions to get back on the pace. And I successfully passed that exam on my first attempt. And I was almost giving up. Having this reason why not to made me stay on track. So it's a really, really nice experience there. But this is just one story. There are others. For those who haven't seen Simon on his YouTube video, Start With Why, it's really interesting. He wrote a book, and he also mentions this on his presentation. Start with why, and then the how, and then the what. There's also a really nice book, 25-year-old book, but still a very important book to read. Begin with the end in mind. And if you look at this sentence, it kind of resonates with how we work at Amazon, working backwards. And things make sense when we read the book. And things make sense not just for work, but for exams and even for our professional life. Okay, going back to check the questions. Any questions so far? Any thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay, moving on. Well, if you take all of these steps, they are, I would say, simple steps. They are not technical in the sense that I gave you the instructions how to pass each of the exams, but these are generic rule of thumbs and how to embrace this effort. If you do this, I'm pretty sure you will get to the finish line. Sooner or later, you'll get to the finish line. At that point, do remember, celebrate, have fun, and given that thought, I will move to what everyone was waiting for, which is the quiz. Not sure if everyone was waiting for it, but anyway. Now, for this quiz, this is just an exercise for us to go back to the topics that we talked about and see if anyone was paying attention. So how this quiz works is I have 3 words that I would ask your help to fill. So the first word has 4 letters. The second letter is an A, and fourth letter is an E. And this was the most important idea that I would like you to take from this presentation. Do you remember what was this most important? Very well, pace. Okay, pace is the most important topic. Now, for the second word, starts with Y and has 3 letters. The question is, why? Very well. We need to have a reason why. And for the third word, 5 letters. And what? Yeah, exactly. Okay, you're very good at this. Pause. Between every video, do take a pause for you not to burn out. Okay, congratulations. We have a winner here. Now, just to wrap up, there are a few other resources that I invite you to take a look at. So this is a AWS community bookmarks, just a bunch of bookmarks for training and documents and testimonials from other people, and also a few tools that will help you to go through these exams. Many of these are resources that I took myself, and there are some tips and tricks there that you can follow. Reach out for me if you have questions on any of them. Feel free. Okay. And so for the final and last one, and this is a thank you and a request for feedback. So on this link, I will ask you to follow or take the take a picture of the QR code. Do give me a feedback for the session, and also I invite you to give a few ideas for this group for future sessions. Okay, and this was me. Thank you for listening. I'm open to any questions that you might have. Okay, so checking here on the chat. Any questions, anyone? Just a few seconds more. Okay, that was it then. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. Feel free to come back with questions and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.